It's an honor to meet you. I'm so excited to speak to you today, and I love this movie. It was my favorite of the four. It's so sweet. There's nothing in my mind more magical than England at Christmas time. So I noticed that you were actually born in Wellington, New Zealand. I didn't know that,
Yes,
and the story is set in Wellington-on-Sea, the seaside town. Did you name it after that to capture some of your own childhood magic?
I did, even though I can't remember much about Wellington because I am sentimental about it. But also the film, it's lovely to meet you, by the way. The film is really closely based on this village where I live every Christmas and have done for 35 years in Suffolk. And so we couldn't name it after the real name, but it also starts with a W, I'll put it that way.
You are the master of these intertwined stories. And I also love that you are the master of love stories, but all types of love. And we've seen that in so many of your films. You've written so many of my favorite films, from Love Actually, where we get a little bit of everything, Bridget Jones, romantic love, self-love, Notting Hill. About Time is one of my all-time favorites, with the father and son love, which is so, so beautiful. You're also the master of kind of these grand Christmas gestures. So 5 years ago, I went to London. I didn't tell my friend that I was there, and she lives there, and she was performing with a Christmas choir on a corner. And I showed up in the audience to surprise her. And to this day, we call it our Richard Curtis moment. In your
Oh,
own
you
life,
should have come to
what
visit
is,
me. You should have
I
come. I
should have
would have come
visited
there.
you. Well,
Yeah.
next time, I try to go to London every year. Do you have a moment in your own life that was unscripted that would count as your own Richard Curtis moment?
Wow, that is a very tricky question. Um, let me think. A
That's my friend
moment,
Georgie. Every
a
year we call
moment,
it
a
that.
moment where I was surprised by everything. I mean, we once, no, we once got hijacked in a car, and I thought my dad had died, and then he hadn't.
What?
That might be the only thing. It was when we were young, and it was very scary. But I've had a lot of happy moments, but I've normally seen them coming.
One thing that I've always been intrigued by for Christmas movies, because I love holiday movies, is seeing how different people imagine and depict Santa Claus and Father Christmas. And I love that your Santa kind of has a little printer, and he's able to print notes about each child when he arrives at their home. How did you get inspired to tell this imagining of Santa Claus?
Well, do you remember that film Master and Commander? I think Russell Crowe played that. We had that idea that, like, he's on a ship and it's quite bad weather and he's got to be quite hardy. So that was one of our inspirations. And then we just liked the idea that he's a little bit of a technophobe. I think Santa, he's been doing the job a long time, and it's hard to catch up with the new technology. So we had the idea that he would, as it were, have an old style printer rather than having to, as it were, work on an iPhone.
Richard, to wrap up, all of these people in this movie end up with a very unexpected way to celebrate Christmas. The children's was my favorite. They were having the best time, and I laughed so hard at the lovely old film that they hate. I laughed so much at that. But no one had a Christmas that they expected to have. In your line of work, I imagine there have been years where your schedule doesn't allow you to spend a traditional Christmas or holiday in general with your loved ones, with your friends, with your family. Is there any holiday, it doesn't have to be Christmas, where you had kind of a non-traditional celebration that stands out in your mind?
Well, this is a strange answer, but when I was young, there was a famine in Biafra, and I was about 8, my mum cancelled Christmas. She said, no presents, no special food. We're just going to take all the money we were going to spend at Christmas and give that away. And the strange thing was, it was like the best Christmas ever, because we just got to sit in front of the TV and watch Christmas movies from beginning to end, and we didn't have to sit at the table eating turkey. So that was a very memorable Christmas.
That's beautiful, and beautiful that your mother kind of instilled that giving back to you as well.
Yeah.
That's really, really sweet. Richard, I'm being wrapped. It was truly such an honor to talk to you. You've written most of my favorite movies, so thank you for your time, and hope to see you in London one day.
I look forward to that. Lovely to meet you.